June of this year, I raised concerns about the FBI's use of restricted access and prohibited access systems. According to the FBI, quote, when search teams
employed at the FBI. We are doing a prospective and retrospective analyses of individuals who may have weaponized the department and the agency. And as I've committed to you during my confirmation hearing and my conversations with you, this FBI will not be weaponized anymore in either side of the aisle.
How are you ensuring that restricted access and prohibited access files are produced to Congress during court cases? And have you identified any Biden family records in restricted and prohibited status?
As I've committed to you with my transparency initiative, whether it's restrictive or prohibited, every single thing we can legally provide to Congress, we will. We've also restructured how these restrictive and prohibited cases are labeled and provided access to more people in the chain of command so that more people have knowledge of what these restricted and prohibited cases are, including myself and the deputy.
It started like any other day in the courtroom. The hum of reporters, the clicking of cameras, the quiet murmur before the judge walked in. Then a single sentence changed everything. New evidence suggests Tyler Robinson may not have acted alone. The words came from an unexpected source, a federal investigator testifying under oath. For months, the story seemed simple. Robinson had confessed, the weapon matched, the motive was clear. But this testimony cracked that certainty wide open. According to court documents, a classified internal report had surfaced, one that hinted at outside involvement, possibly someone manipulating Robinson's every move. The report mentions an encrypted contact who communicated with him in the weeks before the shooting. Messages recovered from his phone showed phrases like, "Stay focused," and "You'll understand soon." The number still untraceable. Prosecutors looked shaken. Defense attorneys immediately seized on the revelation. And the crowd inside the courtroom, silent, absolutely silent. Because if Tyler Robinson wasn't alone, then who was pulling the strings? That question spread across the internet like wildfire. Hashtags exploded. Comment sections filled with speculation. Some pointed fingers at political groups. Others claimed it was a deliberate setup to frame him. But then came another layer, a witness no one had ever heard from before. An ex-security consultant who claimed he'd been asked months earlier to wipe digital traces, linked to an unnamed project. He didn't connect it to Robinson at the time, but after seeing his face on the news, he came forward. His statement hinted that someone with deep access, possibly within a tech network, could have planted or altered communications to make Robinson appear guilty. No proof, not yet, but enough to rattle everyone watching. "If this is true," said one journalist, "then we're not just dealing with a crime, we're dealing with a cover-up." The judge ordered all sides to stay quiet while the FBI reviews the digital evidence. But by then, the damage was done. The narrative had shifted. For the first time, people weren't asking why Tyler did it. They were asking who told him to. And somewhere, behind sealed files and deleted messages, that answer might already exist. But just when the public thought the truth couldn't get murkier, a new piece of footage emerged, showing someone standing next to Tyler moments before the attack. And it wasn't who anyone expected. When investigators reviewed the security tapes again, footage they had previously marked non-essential, one frame stopped them cold. There she was, a woman in a gray coat, standing just a few feet behind Tyler Robinson moments before the attack. Her face turned slightly toward the camera, her hand brushing something metallic near her side. Then, in the next frame, she was gone. The footage had been taken from a side entrance security camera, time-stamped just 36 seconds before the shooting began. So why wasn't it shown to the court earlier? Prosecutors claimed the clip was too blurred to identify anyone clearly, but a leaked copy told a different story. Zoomed and stabilized by online analysts, It showed just enough detail to send the internet spiraling into chaos. Was she helping him, warning him, or using him? That's when things got even stranger. Several eyewitnesses, mostly students and staff, were re-interviewed after the footage went public. 3 of them said they remembered seeing a woman rushing out the west exit seconds before police arrived. One described her as frantic but calm, like someone escaping a scene they'd already planned for. Yet in every police record and report released before this week, there's no mention of any woman being detained, questioned, or even noticed near the scene. Online theories exploded. Some said she was Robinson's handler. Others believed she was the one who convinced him to go through with the act, only to vanish once it was done. Then came the real bombshell. A journalist from the Ledger-Post released a leaked memo allegedly written by an FBI field agent who had flagged that same woman during the first 48 hours of the investigation. The note read, "Female individual seen with suspect pre-incident. Presence confirmed by external cam footage. Follow-up denied by HQ. Denied by headquarters." That one line changed everything. Why would an official investigation shut down a lead that could explain whether Robinson acted alone or was being controlled? A retired FBI profiler, interviewed later that week, didn't hold back. This doesn't happen by accident. Leads like that don't just vanish unless someone wants them gone. As that quote hit social media, the video clips of the mysterious woman hit 10 million views in 48 hours. And suddenly, this wasn't just a murder case anymore. It was a question of power, secrets, and manipulation. But if the woman was real and the footage was genuine, then what about the message Tyler sent the night before the shooting? The one investigators didn't want the public to see. For weeks, people painted Tyler Robinson as a cold-blooded killer, emotionless, methodical, beyond remorse. But once the footage of the woman surfaced, that image began to crack. Psychologists who have studied similar cases said something about Tyler never quite fit the pattern of a premeditated shooter. No manifesto, no detailed escape plan, not even a clear motive that made sense. And then there were his eyes. In every courtroom photo, they tell 2 stories at once: guilt, yes, but also confusion. Almost like someone waking up from a nightmare they didn't know they were part of. According to leaked medical records from the early investigation, Robinson had been on and off antipsychotic medication months before the incident. His prescriptions stopped suddenly. Right around the time, the mysterious encrypted messages began appearing on his phone. Coincidence or timing? An anonymous source inside the defense team revealed that some of those messages weren't typed by Robinson himself. Forensic techs noticed subtle inconsistencies, spacing, grammar, timing, that didn't match his usual texting pattern. That's when one expert said something chilling. It's possible he believed he was talking to someone close to him, but those messages could have been controlled remotely. In other words, he might have been manipulated. A digital puppet, unaware he was being used for something far bigger than he understood. And when you piece together the footage, the deleted messages, and the untraceable number, it forms a pattern that feels less like a lone attack and more like a carefully orchestrated act. Some say Tyler was chosen, not for his beliefs, but for his instability. He fit the mold of someone easy to steer, someone whose confusion could later be written off as guilt. Even his own lawyer hinted at this during a press briefing. There are parts of this case that even my client doesn't remember clearly. The problem is, someone else clearly does. The public doesn't know what to believe anymore. Is Tyler a monster, or a victim who never realized he was being set up? The truth lies somewhere in the space between guilt and control, and that's exactly where this story gets darker. Because just when investigators thought they had reached the end of this mystery, a top federal agent stepped forward with a confession that could blow the entire case wide open. The world thought they'd heard every twist in the Tyler Robinson case. Until now. Just days ago, a former federal agent, someone directly tied to the early investigation, came forward with a bombshell claim. He didn't speak at a press conference. He didn't sit for a TV interview. He released a single anonymous statement through an independent journalist. In that statement, he claimed that Tyler Robinson was used. He described a covert digital operation, a group allegedly testing psychological manipulation techniques through social media accounts, fake messages, and behavioral targeting. The goal? To push unstable individuals toward specific actions, all while watching their responses from a distance. And Tyler, according to this claim, was one of their test subjects. If this sounds unbelievable, you're not alone. Even seasoned reporters dismissed it at first, but then came a supporting detail that no one could ignore. The agent provided a metadata log, proving he had accessed Tyler's case files before the public knew his name. Inside those logs were notations about external influence markers, code language investigators sometimes use for psychological interference or coercion indicators. When asked for comment, officials refused to confirm or deny the document's authenticity, but the phrase alone was enough to ignite the internet. Was Tyler Robinson truly a manipulated pawn, or is this just another attempt to muddy the truth? Forensic analysts who reviewed the message threads say something is off. Timestamps don't align. Punctuation shifts between messages. And one key text, the one prosecutors claim was a confession, appears to have been edited. So what if the confession wasn't entirely his? What if it was planted to create a story that fit perfectly into the headlines? The retired agent ended his statement with 7 haunting words. He wasn't the killer they told you. And now, the question that no one can escape is this. If Tyler Robinson didn't act alone, or if he was being controlled, then who really wanted Charlie Kirk dead? The FBI has not officially reopened that lead. But off the record, sources say the case is far from closed. And as one insider reportedly told the Ledger Post, the truth isn't hiding, it's buried. If you made it this far, you've heard what most people haven't. So now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Tyler Robinson was used, or was he always in control? Drop your theory in the comments below. I'll be pinning the best one. And if you want the next update before it hits the news, make sure to tap subscribe and turn on the bell. Because in this story, the truth doesn't stay buried for long.